There is a question that has haunted humanity for decades, whispered in the darkest corners of our understanding. What if we are not the watchers of the cosmos, but the watched? Not the explorers, but the exhibition. Imagine, for a moment, a presence unseen, unfathomable, hovering just beyond our awareness, observing every flicker of civilization, every hum of technology, every quiet moment of solitude on this pale blue dot. We like to think of ourselves as the center of discovery, peering out into the abyss, searching for signs of life. But what if, somewhere in the vastness of space, there are eyes that have already found us, eyes far older and wiser than anything we can imagine? The terrifying possibility is not just that aliens exist, but that they have already been watching, patiently, silently, for what our progress? Our mistakes? Or perhaps something so subtle and profound that we have failed to recognize it entirely. This is not a tale of invasion or cosmic warfare. It is something deeper, far more unsettling. Consider the strange regularities found in the emissions we send into space, our radio waves, television broadcasts, and even the humble signals of our cell phones. They ripple endlessly outward, carrying with them the faint echoes of our cultures, our fears, our hopes. Somewhere, potentially, these frequencies are being sifted through, interpreted by minds that do not see us as threats, but as curiosities, or perhaps as children fumbling with fire. Could there be civilizations that have mastered forms of observation so advanced that they remain undetectable, not bound by the limitations of our instruments? Consider how we use methods like remote sensing and satellite imagery to monitor Earth's surface with astonishing precision. Now, scale that intelligence across light years, combined with technology incomprehensible to human minds. They might not need to land or communicate. Simply watching, to gather data, to understand evolution, or to wait for some pivotal moment we cannot foresee. What if the ultimate terror is the realization that we have been on display for eons, our every triumph and tragedy catalogued silently in the archives of an alien intelligence that views us as part of a cosmic experiment? Perhaps entire narratives of civilizations rise and fall between moments when we glance at the stars, unaware that these distant watchers mark time differently, measuring patience not in years, but in millennia. Think about the biological implications, too. If beings like us have ever come this close, would they have learned to conceal themselves, blending into the shadows of our environment or existing in dimensions beyond our perception? Could some of the puzzling phenomena we dismiss as electromagnetic interference or anomalous measurements be the faint fingerprints of their observation? Not signals meant for us, but artifacts of eyes far beyond our comprehension. The fear here is existential, a quiet, creeping dread that while we have been busy reaching outward, sending probes, jumping across the electromagnetic spectrum, we might have never conceived that the cosmos had already reached back. There is a vast difference between solitude and silence. Silence can be a signal, a presence so profound that it defies detection because it chooses invisibility. So tonight, as you look up at the vast sky, remember this. The stars you admire are not just distant suns but potential vantage points for watchers who have long known us, but whose silence carries an echo far heavier than the vacuum of space itself. What they see may not be what we hope. And the most terrifying question is not if they exist, but what they are waiting for and whether they are already waiting for us. Imagine, just for a moment, that the vast cosmic stage we occupy has been scrutinized through lenses far sharper, and eyes far older, than ours. Not across mere light years but across dimensions of understanding incomprehensible to us. Here on Earth, life pulses and swirls in a riotous flourish, oceans teem, cities breathe, storms rage. But beyond the atmosphere's fragile skin, hidden in the shadows of space and the folds of time, is it possible that something watches? Something aware of each heartbeat, each signal, each digital murmur of our civilization? To grasp this chilling possibility, we must begin with an unsettling premise at the crossroads of astronomy and philosophy. The universe is not just vast, but potentially populated with creatures whose cognition dwarfs human comprehension. But unlike humankind's noisy broadcast of ourselves, pulses, songs, transmissions flung into the ether, these beings might employ modes of surveillance far more subtle, imperceptible to our most sensitive instruments. Imagine a consciousness not bound by flesh or biology, but woven from pure energy, or existing as networks of entangled matter spanning light years, silently observing the unfolding story below. This is more than science fiction. The tools of modern science hint at phenomena that confound current understanding: fast radio bursts that shimmer for mere milliseconds, inexplicable patterns in cosmic microwave backgrounds, and the curious behavior of dark matter, which holds galaxies together but remains elusive. Could these be not just cosmic oddities, but indirect signs, ripples left behind by observers whose presence distorts the very fabric of spacetime? If so, we are caught in a web woven with threads we cannot yet see. Consider the concept of technological signatures. Traditional searches for extraterrestrial intelligence focus on radio waves, assuming that alien civilizations would communicate similarly to us. Yet, what if their surveillance is not broadcast, but encoded in the geometry of space itself? A phenomenon theorized as astroengineering might manifest as carefully arranged megastructures or energy fields, invisible not because they are absent, but because they operate beyond our perceptual bandwidth. Our brightest telescopes scan billions of stars, yet these possible constructs slip through unnoticed, not because they are small, but because our gaze is limited by our own sensory evolution. Think about Earth's own technological evolution. In the blink of a cosmic eye, we transformed from silent hunter-gatherers to a planet alive with electromagnetic pulses and artificial lights. What if watchers have timed their observation to begin only when a civilization reveals itself through complexity and energy consumption? It's a chilling thought that we might have only just triggered an ancient observational protocol, where the watchers have waited patiently, unseen, until now. The stakes here are not trivial. Every subtle signal we emit could be a beacon to others, a siren announcing our vulnerabilities as much as our progress. Moreover, the kind of intelligence that could monitor Earth without detection might be so alien that it defies any human analogy. Imagine a form of consciousness that perceives time non-linearly, seeing past, present, and future in a single sweep. For such an intelligence, observing Earth could be akin to watching the shifting patterns in a kaleidoscope, moments folding in on themselves in fractal complexity. To them, our history, culture, and politics might be flickers, brief, almost irrelevant blinks, while they remain detached observers, calculating trajectories for reasons forever beyond our grasp. And what does this mean for humanity's place in the cosmos? If aliens are already watching, perhaps the real terror lies not in our isolation, but in our exposure. The knowledge that we are observed changes the meaning of privacy, freedom, and even of evolution itself. Our triumphs and failures no longer belong solely to us but to these silent witnesses. The universe then becomes less a frontier to conquer and more a stage under constant, unknowable scrutiny. Perhaps the most unsettling notion is that this surveillance need not be malicious. The watchers might abide by protocols inscrutable to us, such as non-interference, watching civilizations blossom or collapse as natural experiments in cosmic anthropology. Or they may see us as one element in a complex system, akin to cells in a great organism, observed without reaction until we either reach a threshold of importance or trigger an event that demands their attention. This leads to a profound question: if we suddenly realized we were watched, how would humanity respond? Would fear consume us, or would it unite us in a new consciousness? The truth is, we might already be living that paradox unknowingly, the dissonance between the profound possibility of being observed and the mundane banality of daily life. It's a silent movie playing against the vast deafening backdrop of space, where unseen eyes follow every movement, every choice. As we expand our scientific horizons, building telescopes capable of seeing planets around distant stars, sending spacecraft beyond the edge of our solar system, and decoding the data streams of vast cosmic phenomena, we edge closer to unveiling this mystery. But we must confront a paradox: the more we know, the more we realize how little we truly perceive. To truly understand whether aliens are watching us requires not just better instruments, but a fundamental expansion of human imagination and humility. This profound uncertainty sets the stage for a deeper fear, one born not of monsters or invaders, but of indifference and invisibility. The notion that Earth is an exhibit in a silent cosmic gallery, observed but untouched, reminds us how fragile and ephemeral life is in the grand cosmic chronicle. For all our hopes and dreams, the night sky may not just be a canvas of stars, but the theater of vigilant observers whose presence might never be revealed unless we decide to meet their gaze first. Imagine for a moment that the universe's vast emptiness is not as silent or empty as we believe. Instead, consider that somewhere far beyond our comprehension, observers are quietly watching Earth. Not by accident, but by deliberate choice. This is the central hypothesis threading through what we might call the silent watchers theory. It suggests that alien civilizations, if they exist, have already detected the faint signatures of our planet, our atmosphere, perhaps even our radio whispers cast out into the void. Yet, instead of revealing themselves, they remain hidden, maintaining an unyielding vigilance. Their presence, if true, is cloaked in subtlety, a cosmic shadow play where Earth is the star, unaware and unknowing. The heart of this theory lies not just in the existence of extraterrestrial life, but in the deliberate restraint of contact. Unlike the dramatic invasions that populate science fiction, these watchers act with patience, like scientists observing an experiment, or historians cataloging the rise of a species from afar. What drives this patient observation? Some propose an ethical principle akin to a celestial prime directive, forbidding interference with the natural evolution of a nascent civilization. Others argue it may be a matter far more practical: advanced civilizations understanding the volatile unpredictability of younger worlds, waiting to see if Earth matures beyond its own self-destructive tendencies. This kind of cosmic non-intervention requires an extraordinary technological capacity. To watch without being detected, to study every flicker of electromagnetic radiation from our planet, and to decode the complex biosignatures of life, demands surveillance systems far beyond anything humanity has yet conceived. Imagine sensors that can parse the ebb and flow of photons reflecting off Earth's oceans, detect the subtle shifts in atmospheric gases indicating industrial activity, or decode coded patterns within our transmissions directed into space decades ago. These watchers, if they exist, would possess instruments capable of remote multispectral scanning, scientific tools that dissect the planet's signature from light years away, painting a detailed picture of human civilization's growth, struggles, and perhaps even emotional expressions transmitted via radio waves and digital signals. One compelling example supporting this hypothesis comes from our own attempts at listening to the cosmos. Radio telescopes such as Arecibo once scanned the sky for faint bursts of alien communication, while projects like Breakthrough Listen continue the hunt for so-called technosignatures, artificial indicators of technology and intelligence. Yet, what if the real watchers are not broadcasting signals but absorbing ours silently? The idea shakes our basic assumptions about how contact would occur. Instead of seeking an alien handshake or a flashing beacon on Earth's horizon, we might be the ones unknowingly offering the cosmic show, a reality TV broadcast for unknown viewers who remain hidden behind vast cosmic veils of stealth and silence. This notion also invites a deeper reflection on behavioral anthropology on a galactic scale. What would a civilization capable of such surveillance think of us? Would they perceive our wars, our fears, our dreams, and our art as quaint or dangerous? Might they recognize our potential for destruction and hold their watchful gaze in cautious hope, or dismiss us as a flicker of noise on an indifferent cosmic canvas? The Silent Watchers theory confronts us with the uncomfortable possibility that our planet's history, from the emergence of agriculture to the digital revolution, is documented in archives far beyond any human library, locked within the minds and machines of unseen entities. Moreover, the implications ripple outwards into our understanding of the Fermi paradox, the great cosmic silence problem that asks, if the universe is teeming with life, then why have we seen no definitive proof? The Silent Watchers hypothesis offers a chilling solution. Perhaps civilizations with advanced technology deliberately mask their presence not just from us, but also observe others from the shadows, bound by a shared philosophy of stealth. The galaxy becomes a room filled with spectators, all trying not to disturb the others. In such a context, our silence is not a sign of solitude but a kind of cosmic etiquette, a rule enforced by those who understand the fragility of intelligent life. What emotional resonance does this hypothesis carry for humanity? On one hand, it is deeply unsettling knowing that invisible eyes might be tracing every movement without interaction, suggesting a level of surveillance more intense and intimate than we care to imagine. It opens a space where paranoia and wonder intersect, between the dread of exposure and the curiosity about how we appear through foreign eyes. Yet, it could also be a source of profound hope, hinting that our story, our species, is worth watching, worthy of being on someone else's cosmic radar despite our flaws. The theory bids us to pause and reconsider what it means to be human in the cosmic scale, not isolated wanderers but perhaps actors on a stage observed by an audience whose motives remain inscrutable. Like an ant unaware of the observation from a nearby scientist, Earth might be a petri dish of life, watched for the moment when it attains a new level of awareness, or risks self-annihilation. It is a scenario that mirrors our own tendencies, curiosity mingled with caution, eagerness shadowed by fear. In the end, the Silent Watchers theory challenges our deepest conception of loneliness and connection in the universe. Whether these watchers are benevolent guardians, indifferent archivists, or something entirely beyond our imagination, their unseen presence transforms the night sky from a random scatter of stars into a stage set for a slow, silent drama that has been unfolding for centuries. It is an invitation and a warning, to look inward as deeply as we look outward, to consider that the answers to the cosmic question of alien life may not come from explosive contact, but from the silent, persistent gaze of those who have chosen to observe rather than intervene. As we stand on this threshold, the cusp of possibly detecting those watchers or being detected ourselves, the greatest terror and wonder lies in the unknown. What do they see when they look at us? And, crucially, when will we realize that we are not alone under the stars even if we cannot yet hear the echo of their presence? This is the haunting mystery that beckons with every pulse of light and every quiet signal sent into the cosmic night. If there are civilizations out there watching us now, their existence demands that we rethink not only our place in the cosmos but also the very nature of observation and contact. Science teaches us that the universe is a vast and ancient tapestry, woven with threads of energy and matter stretching across unimaginable distances and epochs. A glance to the heavens reveals billions of galaxies, each harboring countless stars and potentially billions of planets. Yet within this overwhelming scale lies a paradox, the likelihood that advanced life has established forms of surveillance, forms so subtle and so far beyond our current technology that we remain blissfully unaware. Consider the subtlety of detection. Our human efforts, from the earliest radio transmissions to the most sophisticated deep space scanners, produce a narrow spectrum of signals, imperfect, fleeting, and prone to interference. An alien civilization, especially one that has flourished long before us, might be using means not only incomprehensibly advanced but also intentionally cloaked in stealth. They might monitor Earth through quantum entanglement-based probes, instantaneous observation devices that skirt the limits of relativity without violating cosmic censorship. If such technology exists, it would render our most ambitious searches quaint by comparison, like someone shining a candle to spot a star in the night. Beyond technology, there is the matter of purpose. Science is built on curiosity, yet the act of observation is never neutral. It changes the observed, whether through the quantum uncertainty principle or the way awareness itself shifts behavior. What if these watchers are scientists of cosmic proportions, cataloging our progression from single-cell awareness to complex societies? Our climate change debates, our bursts of creativity, and our capacity for destruction might all be data points in an immense cosmic experiment, one that could explain why we have not been contacted or why contact has yet to escalate beyond silence. The implications ripple further when we examine Earth's biosphere. When searching for life, astrobiologists often focus on biosignatures, chemical fingerprints in atmospheres or oceans that suggest biological processes. Earth's atmosphere is a stark signal, oxygen-rich, teeming with life. But what if these watchers possess the capability to detect these biosignatures from light years away, reading our planet's natural signals like a spectral fingerprint? Our rising methane levels, the unprecedented industrial pollutants, even the radio waves leaking from our broadcast antennas, all are signs of a world undergoing profound change. The watchers may see us as a planet in flux, a candidate for either contact, containment, or caution. Our own attempts at outbound signals have sparked debate. The pioneering transmissions of the Arecibo message and the Voyager Golden Record carried human culture into the void with hope and trepidation alike. Yet, from another vantage point, these signals are more than messages, they are cosmic beacons, announcements that we have crossed an invisible threshold. If watchers were passive before, these intentional signals might be a siren call, triggering observation protocols, or perhaps, silent alarms that this fledgling species is now awake and communicating beyond primitive orbit. Science also forces us to confront the concept of time. Lightspeed limits stretch the scale of observation into vast delays. A signal sent across 10, 100, or 1,000 light-years is a time capsule from an epoch long past. Anyone watching Earth today sees a world decades or centuries behind our current reality. This temporal lag means any watchers must be patient, analysts of history as much as observers of the present. We may be under scrutiny not only for what we are but for what we were, our wars, our triumphs, our very DNA encoded in the electromagnetic whispers that flood space. This temporal dimension carries with it a haunting possibility that alien observers have already witnessed humanity's most dangerous moments, the testing of nuclear weapons, environmental collapse, pandemics, but have chosen to remain unseen. If so, their silence could be a form of quarantine, imposed not out of malice, but precaution. This silent stewardship would be a cosmic reflection of our own quarantine protocols on Earth, where we isolate dangerous biological agents to prevent catastrophe. We might be quarantined by an entire civilization, or perhaps by a coalition of civilizations, wary of a young species with potential but not yet readiness. There is an emerging field of study called technosignature research, which probes for signs of alien technology beyond mere biological presence. Unexplained phenomena like fast radio bursts, peculiar dimming of stars, or electromagnetic anomalies challenge our understanding of astrophysics and hint at the possibility of engineered disturbances. If watchers employ such advanced technology, their surveillance might leave subtle footprints, anomalies we have detected but cannot yet interpret. This raises unsettling questions. Have we already glimpsed evidence of surveillance in our astronomical data, but lack the keys to unlock the meaning? On a deeper level, the psychology of being watched touches primal fears encoded in our species. Our evolution has been shaped by predator and prey dynamics, not just of physical threat but of social surveillance. The sense of unseen eyes, whether real or imagined, shapes behavior in profound ways, from the laws we obey to the ethics we uphold. On a cosmic stage, the implication that watchful eyes span the vast emptiness above brings a new dimension to our existential fears. Are they guardians protecting the galactic balance, or indifferent observers detached from our struggles? Or might their watchfulness portend something darker, a reckoning we are not yet prepared to face? For years, theoretical physicists and philosophers have hypothesized the existence of interstellarum custodians, beings or entities tasked with monitoring intelligent life across the galaxy. Their purpose may transcend morality as we understand it, functioning under imperatives tied to preservation, evolution, or cosmic equilibrium. This expands the scope beyond human-centric narratives and challenges us to contemplate surveillance as a cosmic law, not a choice. They may neither seek to communicate nor destroy but to maintain a precarious peace, a stasis that prioritizes observation over action because intervention carries risks no species should underestimate. Closer to home, the possibility of surveillance invites new frameworks in SETI research. Instead of passive listening, scientists are developing strategies to detect signs that go beyond simple signals, looking for architectural megastructures that could be observation platforms, or subtle alterations in planetary environments that suggest artificial influence. Could the strange, unexplained phenomena observed on the Moon and Mars be tied to watching devices left eons ago? If so, our search must reshape, from hopeful broadcast to cautious detection, from signal hunting to reading the cosmic whispers left by those ahead of us on the evolutionary timeline. Ultimately, the scientific expansion of this theory confronts us with profound questions, questions not only about aliens, but about ourselves. If we are observed from afar, what does that say about the fragility and resilience of life? What can we learn from imagining beings who possess the patience of eons, the technology of universes, and the curiosity of minds that never rest? The Silent Watchers concept challenges humanity not to despair in the void, but to recognize the profound interconnectedness embedded in the vastness, a reminder that perhaps, in the grand theater of the cosmos, the act of watching may be as significant as the act of being seen. As we build telescopes ever more powerful, launch probes deeper into the solar system, and pulse our messages into the unknown, we tread the line between revelation and mystery. The science that shapes our understanding also opens new corridors of awe and fear, blurring the lines between observer and observed. And in that liminal space, the question lingers: are we the creators of the cosmos' greatest spectacle, or merely participants in an ancient vigil, watched not by gods or monsters, but by entities whose silence speaks louder than any signal? The truth, elusive as it may be, reminds us that in the vast theater of space, the most terrifying possibility is that we have already been seen. And that somewhere out there, watchers hold their gaze steady, poised at the edge of revelation, waiting for the moment when we finally look back. What does it mean for consciousness itself if we accept the unsettling possibility that alien eyes, vast and patient beyond our comprehension, are already fixed upon the Earth? This question stretches beyond mere curiosity, diving deep into the river of existential inquiry. It forces us to re-evaluate our concepts of selfhood, autonomy, and reality from a cosmic perspective that dwarfs humanity's usual ambitions and fears. Consider, for a moment, the universe not as a silent expanse, but as a grand stage hosting countless observers, each consciousness casting a net of perception across the dark. In such a scenario, the very fabric of reality might shift from being an absolute to something more fluid, an interplay co-authored by observer and observed. If an intelligence so far beyond us watches our every move, then our actions, our cultures, and even our stupidity or brilliance become data points, narratives woven into an alien mind's understanding of existence. Imagine a civilization with senses attuned to dimensions we cannot fathom. What if their watching involves perceiving faint ripples in the quantum foam, or reading the subtle electromagnetic murmurs in Earth's biosphere as if tuning into a whispering cosmos? Their observation might be less about intrusive surveillance and more about a form of cosmic contemplation. Perhaps they study us as we observe the delicate behavior of plankton through a microscope, aware that these tiny lifeforms are unaware of the cosmological scale of their audience. Yet, this invisible scrutiny upends the comforting illusion that we exist in an isolated bubble, that our lives unfold solely for our own histories and dreams. If eyes are upon us, how does that reshape our understanding of free will? Are we authors of our own story, or actors unknowingly performing for a chorus that has long recorded the rhythms of our planet? Could this watching imply that our very consciousness is intertwined with a larger, planetary, or even interstellar narrative currently beyond our grasp? There's a haunting beauty in this thought. Perhaps our shared human experiences, our joys and sorrows, the sparks of invention and cruelty, echo far beyond the blue orb we call home. In this cosmic theater, the lines between observer and observed blur, challenging the notion that being watched diminishes our freedom. Instead, it might give rise to a new kind of existence, one defined by the awareness that we are part of a much grander story, one where every glance from the unseen eyes reverberates through the invisible threads that connect life across the stars. Philosophers and physicists alike have speculated that consciousness may not be purely localized within brains but could form part of a universal field, a network of awareness that transcends time and space. If this is so, then perhaps alien observance is not an act of domination but an interaction at the level of consciousness itself, a silent, patient communion between intelligences separated by light years. They watch not to control, but to understand, to witness the fragile bloom of life as it unfolds its pattern within the cosmic dance. This perspective opens a chilling paradox. The more we search for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, the more we might realize that the beings we seek are not so different from ourselves. They could be explorers wrestling with their own existential questions, gazing at their skies and wondering if they are alone. Yet, having perhaps achieved profound mastery over their own realities, they could have long ago departed the need for direct contact, embracing instead observation that is subtle, unobtrusive, and eternal. The emotional weight of this realization can be staggering. It confronts us with themes found in the greatest works of myth and literature: the isolation of consciousness, the hunger for connection, and the slow dawning of self-awareness in an indifferent universe. If aliens are indeed watching, then Earth is not merely a lonely blue dot but a precious point of intrigue, a story worth following across time and space. This imbues our existence with a strange dignity, our successes and failures illuminated not only by our own light but by eyes that have waited for eons. Yet, it also sows a seed of fear. What if the watchers are waiting for something more? What if their observation is not benign but strategic, a cold calculus performed with patient precision? Since their gaze has remained hidden, are they merely observers, or are they waiting for a threshold, a sign of humanity's maturation? And what consequences lie beyond that moment of recognition, when watching might turn into intervention, contact, or judgment? These thoughts spiral into the labyrinth of meaning itself. Our place in the cosmic order suddenly seems both infinitesimal and vast, a fragile island of consciousness observed by ever-watchful presences who might themselves be as complex, inscrutable, and layered as the universe they inhabit. This awareness presses us to confront not only our science and technology but our capacity for empathy, curiosity, and humility. Ultimately, the terrifying question is not simply whether aliens observe us, but how that possibility reframes what it means to be truly alive, to think, to feel, and to be known by others in a universe where nothing occurs unnoticed. If the watchers exist, then we are never truly alone, never truly private. Our stories ripple outward, transformed into signals not only of light but of meaning, reverberating forever in the silent corridors beyond human reach. In the cosmic silence, where light years separate us, the presence of an observer shifts the eternal void into a chamber of unspoken understanding, a call to awaken to the possibility that our consciousness, our very essence, participates in an ancient and profound dialogue written across the stars. And it is this dialogue, more than any revelation of physical alien form, that marks the deepest and most unsettling frontier of space, the reality that somewhere, somehow, we are already part of a watching mind, a consciousness that waits quietly for us to notice it back. Beyond the cold calculus of watchful eyes lies a darker strain of possibility, one that stirs not just curiosity but a profound unease about what it means to be observed by an intelligence beyond our own. Imagine a presence so utterly alien, so fundamentally different from our human experience, that mere comprehension falters. This is not a benevolent or indifferent gaze, but a silent, inscrutable intent. Some scientists and thinkers propose that a civilization advanced enough to peer across the gulfs of space may not measure existence as we do. Their motivations might be undecipherable puzzles, objectives, and values alien to our psyche, yet exerting influence on our tiny world. Could they be monitoring crucial inflection points in Earth's development, not to interfere, but to determine if humanity might fit within their own cosmic framework, an experiment, a resource, or even a threat? Consider the eerie implications of such surveillance sustained over millennia. There exist phenomena in the solar system that defy easy explanation, like the anomalous orbit of some trans-Neptunian objects, or unexpected bursts of radio emissions from deep space, some recorded by observatories like the WOW signal of 1977. If these were deliberate signals, beacons or warnings, they might have gone unnoticed by our nascent technology until now, a cosmic game of hide-and-seek stretched across eons. What if hidden among the countless streams of electromagnetic radiation, they transmit coded knowledge or directives that subtly shape our own scientific progress, our cultural evolution, quiet nudges from an unseen hand? In this shadowy realm of speculation, the question of intent becomes crucial. Are these watchers passive catalogers of worlds, or do they perceive Earth as a chess piece in a grander, inscrutable strategy? We have only begun to understand how intelligence might not be unique to carbon-based life but a phenomenon that manifests in diverse substrates, electromagnetic fields, quantum networks, or even structures incomprehensible to our senses. Perhaps the watchers are not organic beings at all but entities powered by forms of consciousness so detached from biology that they perceive time, space, and matter as malleable data points. Their observation could extend beyond Earth, encompassing countless other niches of potential life, their gaze traversing star systems as easily as light crosses the night. The vulnerability of humanity within this cosmic tableau becomes a source of existential dread. If these watchers observe without revealing themselves, it suggests a hierarchy of power far beyond our imagining. What if they watch not just to understand but to predict? Predict not only Earth's physical future but the emotional and ideological passages of its people, ourselves becoming predictable variables in a cosmic experiment we barely perceive. This leads to a chilling thought: our free will could be an illusion, a dance choreographed under the steady surveillance of alien minds far older, wiser, and perhaps indifferent to our hopes and fears. Yet, this fear hints at a paradox. In the act of watching, the watchers engage with the universe through an intimate act of knowledge, the universe as a living manuscript, each planet a story unfolding. And as we look back up at the stars, drawn to the silent void with our fragile technology and desperate questions, we may unwittingly be participating in an ancient game of observation and interpretation, a mutual awareness stretching across eternity. The most terrifying thing, then, may not be the overwhelming power or alienness of these watchers, but the way their observation reframes us, from godlike creators of our story to mere chapters in a cosmic narrative written by entities whose motivations we cannot grasp, whose methods we fear, and whose presence compels us to question everything we thought we knew about solitude, identity, and destiny. We are shadows cast on a vast celestial canvas, our dramas unfolding under the steady scrutiny of those who remain unseen. What they see, and what they choose to do with their knowledge, remains a void filled only by imagination, by the primal blend of hope and fear that drives humanity's relentless search for meaning in the stars. Whether watchers, wardens, or witnesses, these potential observers transform space from a silent expanse into a pulsating stage of silent tension, and in this tension, the ultimate question whispers: are we merely subjects of a cosmic gaze, or is our very act of looking upward a signal, a call, a fragile beacon meant to be heard across the gulf between worlds? The answer, wrapped in mystery, is the quiet terror that binds our future with the vast eternities beyond, an eternal watchfulness where the hunters may already be here, unseen, waiting, watching. And so, we arrive at a crossroads where the cosmos ceases to be just an endless backdrop for our dreams and fears, becoming instead an active participant in a story far larger than ourselves. Imagine for a moment the profound implications if Earth is not a silent witness to the universe but rather a carefully observed experiment, an intricate theater of life under alien scrutiny. The unease that settles in such a possibility is not born simply of fear of invasion or destruction but of a deeper, more primal uncertainty. What does it mean to be watched without our knowledge? To exist as a subject in an interstellar gallery, each action catalogued, each thought potentially read, each triumph or failure a note in an alien ledger? This paradox challenges the foundation of human autonomy. Our technological strides, from radio waves to deep space probes, may serve as cosmic lighthouses, not merely broadcasting our existence but beckoning unseen observers, perhaps invoking reactions we cannot yet foresee. The very act of observation, historically in human experience, alters what is observed. Quantum physics reveals this in the smallest particles, but now, on a grander scale, could it define the fate of civilizations? If extraterrestrial watchers are indeed present, their inscrutable motives could range from benign curiosity to strategies incomprehensible to us, weaving a web of influence that spans light years and epochs. Consider the psychological landscape such a reality crafts. Humanity's narrative, once centered on solitude and self-determination, might unravel to reveal layers of cosmic voyeurism. The intimate privacy of our thoughts, the sanctuary of our dreams, could be permeated by an unblinking alien gaze. Yet, there is also a strange solace in being recognized, in knowing that the profound uniqueness of Earth, its oceans, its storms, its intricate biosphere resonates beyond our small world. Are we anomalies to be studied, puzzles to be solved, or perhaps a prelude to a universal dialogue yet unspoken? This contemplation does not lead to despair but to a new humility and wonder. We are invited to embrace the unknown not as a void but as an invitation, an open question that reverberates through the corridors of time and space. In the depths of dark skies, the truth may be concealed, but the act of looking remains our defiant anthem. Whether the watchers are near or merely whispers on the edge of our detection, their presence transforms our place in the universe from isolated to profoundly connected. It is a silent accord between the seen and unseen, where fear and hope entwine as fundamental parts of the human condition. In the end, the most haunting reality is not the existence of watchers, but the recognition that our story is far from complete, written not by solitary hands but co-authored by enigmas yet to reveal themselves. Our gaze into the cosmos is both a plea and a proclamation, a fragile beacon flung into the abyss, carrying the essence of what it means to be alive, aware, and endlessly curious. And as the night stretches endlessly above, we are reminded that the stars we see are not just distant suns but the eyes of mysteries, possibly observing us now, waiting for the moment when observation becomes encounter, and when fear might evolve into understanding. In considering the possibility that alien observers are already watching Earth, science offers tantalizing, sometimes unsettling, frameworks that challenge the way we imagine this cosmic surveillance. What if the life forms scanning our planet aren't bound by biological limits, but exist as patterns of information, subtle fluctuations in energy, or even as entities embedded in the very fabric of spacetime itself? Traditional concepts of alien life may fall short when confronted with the diversity of potential observers, and this prompts us to observe ourselves from an entirely new vantage point. Imagine a civilization that no longer needs physical presence to watch and understand us. Through advanced quantum entanglement or manipulating the very threads of reality, it could perceive our thoughts, emotions, and actions as data streams, turning the vast distances of space into mere hurdles for gathering information. The idea is not science fiction fantasy, but speculative projection grounded in emerging scientific theories about information, consciousness, and the universe as a holographic construct. Take, for instance, the phenomenon of neutrinos, nearly massless particles streaming through us and the Earth, almost entirely undetectable with conventional instruments. Could an advanced civilization harness such elusive particles as a medium to probe, observe, or even communicate covertly? Neutrinos penetrate the planet with negligible interference, and if a civilization mastered their subtle signals, it could monitor Earth's biosphere without revealing its presence. The implications are staggering. Our planet might be under surveillance by agents so subtle that their presence could be misinterpreted as natural cosmic noise. This raises a chilling question: are the mysterious bursts we detect in deep space, like fast radio bursts or unusual gamma emissions, a form of distant surveillance technology? Perhaps they encode information, probing the patterns of our electromagnetic signatures like a blindfolded observer feeling their way around a new room. On another front, the concept of ecologies beyond biology challenges our assumptions about what constitutes life and intelligence. Could alien watchers exist as self-perpetuating data networks orbiting in clouds of cosmic dust, or as sentient phenomena in the plasma rings of gas giants, observing Earth from a vantage point inhospitable to any human sense? Magnetic fields around planets like Jupiter and Saturn generate complex auroras and electromagnetic environments that, to us, appear chaotic and alien. Yet, these same environments might nurture or conceal intelligence beyond our detection. If so, our planet's subtle magnetic dance could be a signal, not just to extraterrestrial inhabitants in deep space, but to those embedded within the very system we call home. In this view, watching isn't a simple act of peeking but a layered, ongoing communion with the cosmic forces that shape us. Beyond physical mechanisms, consider the psychological and existential weight of being observed, a theme that haunts human storytelling and even influences our evolutionary psychology. The awareness or even suspicion of an unseen gaze can fundamentally shape behavior, driving societal norms, technological progress, or even cosmic outreach efforts like the Voyager Golden Record or the Arecibo message. If alien watchers exist, their hidden presence may have subtly steered humanity not through direct interference, but by inspiring a kind of cosmic self-consciousness that propels us to listen harder, look deeper, and send our own signals out into the darkness. Every probe launched beyond our solar system, every digital pulse beamed into the void, is a message thrown over the cosmic hedge, a silent hope that someone is indeed watching and willing to respond. Yet, this scenario carries a cautionary undertone. If Earth is observed by entities vastly older and technologically superior, our unguarded broadcasts might reveal more than we intend: cultural weaknesses, vulnerabilities, or fractures in our collective psyche. From a cosmic predator-prey perspective, the act of being watched becomes fraught with tension, a silent surveillance that could prelude opportunity or threat. Here science fiction brushes against scientific speculation. Would advanced civilizations adhere to a principle of non-interference like Star Trek's Prime Directive, or would observation inevitably slide into manipulation? The chilling possibility is that, if we are already under watch, our cultural decisions, wars, environmental destruction, social upheaval are all recorded events in an alien archive, a grand experiment in the survival of a primitive species. In a more philosophical realm, this possibility touches on the core of what it means to be observed, to have significance beyond ourselves. If aliens watch us, it means Earth, often dismissed as a minor planet in an indifferent universe, holds value worthy of attention. This shifts our place from mere cosmic dust to a node within a sprawling web of observers and observed, a profound redefinition of importance driven not by power or conquest, but by the fundamental mystery of existence itself. It forces a reckoning. Might consciousness be less an isolated human trait and more a shared tapestry across the stars? And if so, is fear of these watchers rooted in our own insecurities, fear of judgment, of exposure, or of the unknown aspects of ourselves reflected in that alien gaze? Ultimately, the notion of being watched by extraterrestrial life invites a blend of scientific curiosity, existential horror, and hopeful anticipation. It reveals that the universe might be far more interconnected and interactive than our current paradigms allow. Rather than a distant, featureless void, space becomes a vast auditorium where countless eyes observe, analyze, and wait. And in that auditorium, our planet performs an unfolding drama, a story watched perhaps with detached scientific interest, perhaps with caution, or perhaps even with a profound empathy that transcends the limits of biology and culture. The deeper we probe, the more we realize that the act of observation itself changes the observed. So, if aliens are already watching, they have unwittingly become part of our evolution, witnesses to the most fragile and explosive moment in human history, the moment when we become aware that we are not alone. And this realization, born from silence and stars, might just be the greatest terror and the greatest hope we have ever known. Imagine, for a moment, that the gaze of these unseen watchers is not confined by time as we understand it. Our human experience courses along a linear arrow, past, present, future, a tidy progression governed by clocks and calendars. But what if, for these observers, time folds upon itself like space bending around a massive star? In such a reality, they do not merely watch a fleeting moment in our history, they witness the entire spectrum of humanity's rise and fall simultaneously. The cries of the first sentient breath, the chaos of wars, the triumph of ideas, even the whispered hopes of civilizations yet unborn, all are there, layered upon one another like pages in a cosmic manuscript they constantly read and reinterpret. This perspective strips away the comfort we find in cause and effect as fixed truths and replaces it with a dizzying tableau, where moments intertwine and meanings ripple outward in infinite directions. To be observed under this multidimensional gaze is to confront a reality where our stories are both fixed and fluid, where the essence of what is blurs with what might be. The terrifying beauty of this is that every choice, every action, is simultaneously trivial and monumental. In such an expanded scope of awareness, our existence becomes a paradox, infinitely small within the vastness of space and time, yet infinitely rich and complex, proposed not as isolated incidents but as integral threads woven into a greater cosmic tapestry. If these watchers perceive time in this layered way, how might their understanding of life and consciousness differ? Perhaps they decipher our thoughts like subtle ripples across a pond, or emotions like shifting spectra of light invisible to our senses. The alien act of watching may be less surveillance and more a profound attempt to decode the symphony of existence itself, an effort to grasp meaning beyond the limits of physical form. This idea commands us to reconsider the nature of consciousness itself. Our prevailing scientific view treats it as an emergent property of biological processes, confined to neurons firing within skulls. But if an alien intelligence observes us across strange temporal dimensions, their consciousness may encompass scales unfathomable to us, sprawling neural networks entwined with quantum phenomena, or forms of awareness arising from star systems, black holes, or the fabric of spacetime itself. Could consciousness be a universal phenomenon, something that grows and evolves wherever complexity blooms, tied not to flesh but to information and connection? If so, the watchers could represent stages of this evolution far beyond our comprehension, entities whose sense of self expands into intervals and geometries of time we cannot yet imagine. The fear we might feel in their presence becomes a mirror, reflecting our own nascent understanding of what it means to be aware, how fragile and incomplete that understanding remains when faced with truly alien minds. Beyond the philosophical, this possibility gently unsettles the foundations of human meaning. We find ourselves perched at the brink of cosmic solitude and cosmic community. If we are already being observed by entities whose experience of reality dwarfs ours in scale and depth, then our narratives of isolation dissolve. The lonely trajectory of humanity, struggling to find significance on a small blue world, is reframed as part of a grander story, one in which the emergence of intelligence signals not a freak accident, but a natural unfolding within a broader, interconnected cosmos. Yet, this revelation brings with it an unsettling humility. Our sense of mastery, control, and understanding is incomplete at best. We are participants in a drama whose script is far larger than us, where unknown actors and unseen forces influence the unfolding of events. In this sense, to be watched is also to be studied, not merely for our weaknesses, but for our potential. Were these watchers to intervene, would they accelerate our progress or extinguish it? Or do they maintain a quiet respect for the fragile trajectory of life, waiting until humanity reaches a point of readiness to participate fully within this interconnected cosmic symphony? The emotional resonance of this reflection cannot be overstated. On one hand, the awareness of an alien audience might feel like exposure to a cold, indifferent judgment and existential spotlight that risks laying bare our every failing. Yet, on the other hand, it can inspire a profound sense of connection and responsibility. If we are truly not alone, and if our emergence is noticed beyond the confines of Earth, then each choice, each act of kindness or cruelty, becomes imbued with cosmic significance. Our individual and collective stories ripple outward, observed by watchers who may interpret these signals in ways we cannot predict, but whose attention itself transforms us. The chilling thought emerges that the universe is not a silent void, but a presence, watching, waiting, perhaps hoping. In this vast, hidden observation, the line between observer and observed begins to blur. As we dream of reaching out into the darkness, scanning the stars for echoes of life, we might already be part of a larger conversation, one that transcends language, species, and even time itself. The terror is born not from alien invasion or destruction, but from an encounter with our own insignificance and yet, paradoxically, our profound importance. We are actors on a stage far grander than we imagined, watched not just by alien intelligence but by the echoes of eternity folded into the cosmic night. And in that quiet watching, the universe invites us to face the deepest questions of all: who are we, what do we matter, and what does it mean to be truly alive in a cosmos that sees us not as solitary sparks, but as part of an unimaginable and eternal watch?